Hey guys, most people, they don't truly lack peace. What they lack is direction. They want everything, and when you want everything, you can't feel enough. More validation, more certainty, but the more you chase without clarity, the less peaceful you feel. Because desire without direction multiplies faster than satisfaction. Faster than satisfaction. They drift on currents they don't understand, pulled toward horizons that promise solace but deliver only more searching, more striving, more of the very restlessness they seek to escape. They want everything. Everything the world screams is valuable, everything glittering and fleeting, everything designed to distract from the quiet, persistent ache of the soul. And when you want everything, when the appetite is so vast, so indiscriminate, you can't feel enough, never enough. It's a paradox etched into the human condition, a gilded cage we build for ourselves, mistaking the bars for the gates to paradise. We chase the reflection of water in a desert, mistaking the mirage for the oasis, only to find ourselves more parched, more lost than before. The world whispers promises of fulfillment through acquisition, through achievement, through becoming someone else entirely. And we listen. We believe. We run the race, faster and faster, never questioning the track, never asking if the finish line is even real. We crave completeness, but we seek it in fragments, in external applause, in the shifting sands of fortune, forgetting that the foundation of peace lies not in gathering possessions, but in understanding the nature of wanting itself. What is it you truly seek when you say you want peace? Is it the absence of challenge, the presence of pleasure, or is it something deeper, something more resilient, something forged in the quiet crucible of the self? Think about the frantic energy that propels you forward each day. Is it the engine of genuine purpose, or the desperate scramble to fill a void? The noise we make, the things we accumulate, the statuses we chase, are they the substance of a meaningful life, or merely elaborate distractions from the fundamental questions we are too afraid to ask? Peace. A simple word, yet its pursuit seems to complicate everything. We believe it lies just beyond the next promotion, the next relationship, the next purchase, the next validation. But perhaps peace isn't found in arriving somewhere else, but in understanding where we already are, and ceasing the frantic, futile chase for illusions. Perhaps the first step toward peace is recognizing the phantom nature of the things we are told will bring it. We are told to want more comfort, smoothing the rough edges of existence until we are left soft, vulnerable, easily bruised by the slightest friction, more validation, seeking the mirrored approval of others to confirm our own shaky sense of self-worth, becoming hostages to their fleeting opinions. More certainty, desperately trying to cage the unpredictable future, building walls against the inevitable winds of change, only to find ourselves imprisoned within them. These aren't necessarily base desires, but they are insidious when pursued without discernment, when they become the sole drivers of our actions. And the stark truth, the one whispered in the quiet moments when the noise finally fades, is this: the more you chase these things without clarity, the less peaceful you feel. The comfort you seek becomes a slippery slope into stagnation. The validation you crave becomes a source of constant anxiety. The certainty you demand transforms into a paralyzing fear of the unknown. The chase itself becomes the disturbance. It's a frantic dance on a treadmill, where every step forward only reinforces your position, leaving you exhausted, breathless, and fundamentally unchanged in your core longing. Why? Because desire, untethered from direction, from wisdom, from a clear understanding of what truly matters, it multiplies faster than satisfaction ever could. Satisfaction is a fleeting guest. Desire, once unleashed, becomes a restless master. It promises a destination, but delivers only a journey without end. A constant state of wanting what's next, what's more, what's different. Instead of finding contentment in what is, it's like trying to fill a sieve with water. The more you pour, the more escapes. The frantic energy, the gnawing dissatisfaction. It stems not from a lack of external things, but from an internal misalignment. A misdirection of our most fundamental human drive, the drive to want. We are wired to seek, to strive, but we have been taught to seek and strive for the shadows, not the substance. And this is the modern condition, isn't it? This relentless encouragement to want. Our world is architected for it. From the moment we wake to the glowing screens that bombard us with curated lives and manufactured needs, to the subtle and not so subtle messages woven into the fabric of our culture, we are perpetually nudged, pushed, and pulled toward wanting more. It's not just about material goods, though the market certainly thrives on that. It's about wanting better outcomes, a smoother career trajectory, a more impressive resume, a life story that reads like a highlight reel. It's about wanting better perception, to be seen as successful, intelligent, attractive, happy, by everyone whose opinion we've been conditioned to value, whether we know them or not. It's about wanting constant progress, never pausing, never resting, always optimizing, always improving, always moving towards some ill-defined future state of perfection. This isn't inherently evil. Progress can be good. Striving for better outcomes can be noble. Wanting to be perceived well has social utility. But when it becomes constant, when the background hum of wanting never ceases, never quiets down, then rest becomes rare. True rest, the kind that restores the soul, not just the body. The kind that allows for reflection, for integration, for simply being. Instead, we find ourselves on a perpetual carousel of achievement. You achieve one thing, the promotion, the degree, the milestone, and in the briefest moment of potential satisfaction, the mind, conditioned by relentless external prompts, immediately casts its gaze forward, looking for the next goal, the next target, the next rung on the ladder. And why? Not usually because you truly need more in any fundamental sense. Not because your core being requires it for survival or genuine flourishing. No, it's because somewhere along the way, we forgot how to recognize what's enough. We lost the internal compass that tells us when the pursuit has reached its natural, satisfying conclusion. We operate on external benchmarks, constantly chasing a moving target defined by others, by society, by the endless stream of information that tells us we are perpetually falling short. We are adrift without an anchor, seeking sufficiency in the shifting tides of external validation and ever-escalating goals. The desire is constant, but the satisfaction is elusive. because the definition of enough has been outsourced, lost somewhere in the noise. But there is another way, a path trodden for millennia, not by rejecting the human capacity for desire, but by understanding and refining it. The Stoics, they looked at this same human impulse, this engine of wanting, and they didn't seek to extinguish it. That would be like trying to stop the wind. Instead, they asked a simple, yet profoundly transformative question, a question we must ask ourselves, again and again, in the quiet moments between the breaths, in the spaces between the tasks. Does this desire lead to peace or disturbance? It's a filter, a lens through which we can examine the endless stream of wants that flow through our minds. They observed that some desires rooted in virtue, in reason, in our own inner nature, they stabilize us. They ground us. They are like deep roots holding firm in a storm. Think of the desire for wisdom, for self-control, for justice, for courage. These are desires that, when pursued, build inner strength. They align us with our highest potential. They bring a quiet confidence that isn't dependent on external circumstances, but other desires, the ones that latch onto fleeting pleasures, external opinions, outcomes beyond our control. These agitate us. They toss us about like leaves in the wind. They create friction, anxiety, and a persistent sense of lack. If you chase what disturbs you, if you chain your well-being to the whims of fortune, the judgments of others, the transient nature of external pleasure, peace inevitably disappears. It's like trying to build a sturdy house on a foundation of jello. It cannot hold. But if you focus your wanting, if you consciously direct your energy towards what stabilizes you, towards what cultivates inner resilience and virtue, peace doesn't just appear, it grows, it deepens, like a muscle strengthened through consistent exercise. Your capacity for peace expands. It becomes less fragile, less dependent on the chaos of the outer world. This isn't about deprivation, it's about discernment. It's about choosing the desires that build you up rather than tear you down. It's about understanding that the most valuable things are not always the most immediately gratifying. You don't need to want less. You need to want better. It sounds simple, doesn't it? Want better. But what does that truly mean in the trenches of our daily lives? Where the siren song of more is so powerful, it means recognizing the subtle poisons we've mistaken for nourishment. It means understanding the true architecture of our own dissatisfaction. Let's look closer at the common currency of modern anxiety, the desperate yearning for approval, for control, for certainty. We crave approval. Oh, how we crave it. We craft our online personas, curate our interactions, measure our worth by likes, shares, and comments. We twist ourselves into shapes we think others will applaud, silencing the authentic voice within for the echo of external praise. And what does this wanting bring? Anxiety, a constant, low-grade hum of worry. Am I good enough? Did I say the right thing? Will they like me? Will they still like me tomorrow? It's a precarious existence, building your house on the shifting sands of public opinion. Wanting control. That's another master we serve. We want to control outcomes, control other people, control the future, control the uncontrollable. We strategize. We manipulate. We worry. We rage against the inconvenient realities that refuse to bend to our will. And the price tension, a knot in the stomach, a tightness in the chest, the constant effort of trying to steer a ship in a hurricane, ignoring the fact that some forces are simply beyond our command. We become exhausted by the struggle, frustrated by the inevitable setbacks, and then there's certainty. We loathe the ambiguity of the unknown. We crave guarantees, assurances, a map for every step of the journey. We seek definitive answers in a world defined by questions. And this desperate need for certainty breeds fear. Fear of making the wrong choice. Fear of missing out. Fear of the future. Fear of vulnerability. It's the fear of the unexpected. The fear of life itself. And the reason these desires are so corrosive, the reason they steal our peace, is fundamentally the same, because none of these things are fully, reliably yours. You cannot own another person's approval. You can influence, perhaps, but you cannot control their judgment. You cannot ultimately control external outcomes, no matter how carefully you plan or how hard you strive. The market shifts, accidents happen, fortunes change, and you certainly cannot control the future. It unfolds according to its own complex causality. When you tether your well-being, your sense of peace, to things that are fundamentally outside your sphere of control, your inner state becomes inherently unstable. Your mood swings with the unpredictable tides of fortune. You are happy when the approval comes, anxious when it falters. You are frustrated when control slips, elated when it seems firm. You live in a state of constant emotional turbulence, a weather vane spinning wildly in the storm. But consider the alternative. Consider the Stoic shift. It's not always dramatic. Often, it's subtle, an internal reorientation. What if you learned to want discipline not as a punishment, but as the tool that enables you to act in accordance with your values, regardless of mood or circumstance? What if you learned to want clarity, the clarity to distinguish what is within your control and what is not, the clarity to see things as they are, not as you wish them to be? What if you learned to want integrity, to live in alignment with your deepest principles, to be honest with yourself and others, to act with courage and justice even when it's difficult? These desires, they are different. They are internal. They reside within your power. They are stable. They are not dependent on the fluctuations of the external world. When you want discipline, you empower yourself to act. When you want clarity, you gain perspective. When you want integrity, you build a foundation of self-respect that cannot be shaken by external events. And when your desires align inward, focusing on the cultivation of your own character, your own reasoned choices, your own virtuous actions, peace stops depending on events. It stops being a fragile commodity, won and lost with the changing winds. It becomes an enduring quality of your inner life, a deep, steady current beneath the surface ripples of daily experience. This is the essence of the Stoic shift, redirecting the river of your wanting from the vast, uncontrollable ocean of externals, back towards the fertile ground of your own inner citadel. Peace is not achieved by getting everything you think you want. It's achieved by wanting what truly matters. Let's ground this in the reality of lived experience. Imagine two people. Let's call them Alex and Ben. Both are ambitious, both are working hard, both desire a measure of success and contentment. Alex wants recognition. Alex craves the applause, the acknowledgement, the status that comes with external achievements. Alex meticulously crafts every presentation, every social media post, every conversation, aiming to be perceived in a certain light. Alex chases awards, accolades, the visible markers of success. Alex's happiness often hinges on the positive feedback loop, the promotion, the praise, the feeling of being admired. But recognition, it fluctuates. It's a fickle friend. One day you're lauded, the next you're forgotten, or worse, criticized. Recognition is dependent on the perceptions and judgments of others, on market trends, on the unpredictable tides of public opinion. And so, Alex often feels anxious, worried about slipping up, about falling short, about losing the approval so desperately sought. Alex's inner state is a roller coaster, tied to the unpredictable whims of the external world. Ben, on the other hand, wants consistency. Ben seeks to build a life grounded in reliable principles and inner strength. Ben focuses on doing the work diligently, ethically, and to the best of his ability. Not primarily for the applause, but for the inherent value in the effort itself. In the act of contributing well, Ben values integrity, continuous learning, and contributing positively to his sphere of influence. Ben understands that external recognition is a possible outcome, but not the primary goal. Ben's focus is on the process, on the quality of his actions, on the virtue he cultivates along the way. Consistency, unlike recognition, is something Ben can cultivate within himself. It comes from discipline, from adhering to values, from practicing self-awareness. And so, Ben feels steady. Not necessarily euphoric every day, but grounded, resilient, less swayed by the inevitable ups and downs. Ben's peace isn't contingent on whether others notice or approve. It arises from the reliable practice of living well, from the consistency of his own character. The difference. It's not that Ben's life is inherently easier. Perhaps Alex faces fewer external challenges. But the internal experience is vastly different. Alex is buffeted by the winds because Alex's desires are aimed at the shifting external landscape. Ben remains steady because Ben's desires are anchored internally. Alex feels anxious often because recognition is fleeting and uncontrollable. Ben feels steady because consistency is a matter of internal practice and choice. Alex's peace is fragile, dependent on the world's opinion. Ben's peace is robust, growing from the clarity of purpose and the integrity of action. It's not that life is easier for Ben, it's that Ben's desire is clearer, more aligned with what is truly within his power, and therefore, more conducive to a stable sense of well-being. This clarity, this internal alignment, is the source of a deeper, more enduring peace, regardless of the external circumstances. This brings us to the practice. How do we cultivate this clarity? How do we learn to want better? It begins with actively practicing the filtering of our desires. It's not a passive process. It requires conscious effort, a willingness to pause and interrogate the impulses that arise within us. Before you chase something, that promotion, that relationship, that new gadget, that online argument, pause, take a breath, and ask that fundamental Stoic question: will this desire disturb my peace or reinforce it? What does it mean for a desire to disturb your peace? it means that pursuing it is likely to lead to anxiety, frustration, anger, disappointment, or a sense of lack. It means your well-being becomes dependent on an uncertain outcome or the actions of others. It pulls you away from your center, scattering your energy and focus. It introduces unnecessary turbulence into your inner life. And what does it mean for a desire to reinforce your peace? It means that pursuing it aligns with your core values, strengthens your character, and cultivates inner stability. It involves actions within your control, like practicing honesty, developing a skill, showing kindness, seeking understanding, acting with courage. Pursuing these things doesn't eliminate challenges, but it builds your capacity to meet them with equanimity. It anchors you. It reinforces the quiet strength that resides within. So, the practice unfolds like this. Observe your desires as they arise. Don't judge them initially, just observe. Then, apply the filter. If this desire, this goal, this pursuit, if it disturbs my peace, if it pulls me towards anxiety and dependence on externals, then practice reducing attachment. This doesn't mean giving up entirely. Necessarily. It means loosening your emotional grip. Recognize its potentially disruptive nature. See it for what it is. Perhaps a preference, perhaps a fleeting urge, perhaps an external lure. Reduce the importance you place on its attainment. Understand that your peace does not hinge upon it. Let go of the desperate need for it. See if you can pursue it with less intensity, less expectation, less emotional investment. But if this desire, if it reinforces stability, if it aligns with virtue, with reason, with your core values, then pursue it steadily. Pursue it with diligence, with intention, with focus, not with frantic desperation, but with calm resolve. Pour your energy into the action, into the effort, into the practice itself, rather than fixating solely on the outcome. This is the path of aligned action. This is where you build momentum in the right direction. And as you practice this filtering, this discerning pursuit, you begin to understand a profound truth. Peace follows alignment. Peace isn't a reward you get after you achieve certain external things. Peace is the natural consequence of aligning your inner world, your desires, your intentions, your actions, with what is true, what is virtuous, what is within your control. It's the quiet hum of a well-ordered mind, a life lived in accordance with reason and nature. This journey leads us toward resolution. Many people believe that to find peace, they must eradicate ambition. Ambition itself being seen as a source of striving and discontent. But this is a misunderstanding. The Stoics weren't advocating for apathy or a life devoid of purpose. You don't need to remove ambition. Ambition, the drive to strive, to achieve, to make a difference, is a powerful human force. It can be a source of great meaning and contribution. What you need to do is anchor it. You need to give your ambition a stable foundation, a worthy direction. Anchor it to your core values. What principles do you hold most dear? Honesty, compassion, justice, service. Let these be the guiding stars for your ambitions. Anchor it to clarity. Clarity about what truly matters. Clarity about what is within your power. Clarity about the kind of person you aspire to be, beyond external achievements. Clarity about the why behind your striving. Anchor it to direction. Not just a vague sense of wanting more, but a clear sense of purpose, a chosen path aligned with your values and your understanding of your role in the world. When your ambition is anchored in this way, to values, to clarity, to direction, it transforms. When desire becomes intentional, rooted in purpose rather than fleeting urges or external pressures, rest returns. Not the rest of exhaustion, but the rest of alignment. The rest that comes from knowing you are acting in accordance with your deepest self. The frantic, anxious energy dissipates, replaced by a calm, focused determination. The constant need to chase, to prove, to acquire, subsides. You find a measure of peace even amidst the striving, because the striving itself is now meaningful, directed, and under your own conscious control. And from that renewed sense of inner rest, that quiet confidence born of intentional action, peace becomes sustainable. It's no longer a temporary state achieved after ticking off a list of external goals. It becomes the underlying tone of your existence, a resilience that allows you to navigate life's inevitable challenges without losing your center. A deep-seated contentment that doesn't rely on the world giving you everything you want, but on your wisdom in choosing what you truly want, and your strength in pursuing it steadily. It's a peace that permeates your experience, regardless of external circumstance. It is the quiet strength of a life lived with intention, anchored in wisdom. Peace doesn't come from having everything. It doesn't come from accumulating, from conquering, from achieving all the things the world tells you will make you happy. It comes from wanting the right things, the things that align with your nature, the things that build your character, the things that are within your power. Refine desire, slowly, quietly. Don't force it. Observe, question, gently redirect, and you'll notice something profound. Perhaps life itself hasn't changed all that much on the surface. The same challenges may arise, the same external demands may persist, but your experience of it, your inner landscape, your peace, that has shifted deeply, fundamentally. Want wisely. Live steadily. Goodbye, and see you in another video.